Lee line, and it is a Tuesday morning here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I just got done doing a light workout at Powerhouse Gym. I'm pulling out right now. Hopefully, you can see the sign. Here, take a look. You can kind of see it on the windows there. Powerhouse Gym, baby. Iris Kiley's gym, 10-time Miss Olympia. And as a lot of you guys know, I am a natural law attorney, so I believe in thinking outside the box. I don't believe in supporting political parties. I believe in free thinking and clear thinking based upon the concept of natural law, our common law heritage, except we're abrogated by the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and critical skills thinking. And so it's still dark. As you can see, I just got done training over at Powerhouse Gym. And then I'm headed back. I'm going to have myself a nice big pile of eggs when I get back, load up on some choline and some protein, have some raw milk, and eat the way our ancestors did. But today, on the way back, I wanted to do a live for you because I started deposition at 10 a.m. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with our country. And it really started with the creation of our Federal Reserve banking system, which is a private, secret banking cartel that was hoisted upon us basically by the Rothschild family. You know, the Supreme Court calls it quasi public, quasi private. There's no such thing. The Constitution doesn't allow a private institution to be running government affairs. But it was a scam that was hoisted upon us. And since the creation of the Federal Reserve banking system, by most experts' opinions, our currency, the dollar, has lost about 96% of its value. So I want to thank all you guys for joining me. So why is a lawyer talking about this? Well, because I'm a patriot first, and I love my country, and I love the Bill of Rights. Slowly, our republic was turned into a democracy, unfortunately, where 51% can control the 49%, which is not what our Constitution and Bill of Rights was about. And because of that, we have a government run school system, government subsidized college system that pushes a form of what we call cultural Marxism. So the young generation thinks that it's rich people are evil, white people are evil, we have to do critical race theory and all this stuff. But really, that's people like the Rothschilds and the billionaires like Soros and Zuckerberg who push this because they control the politicians who are pushing this on you. So they're safe. But you and I are not. And so you people who are savers, the middle class, what the college kids call the bourgeois, the ones who actually have jobs and work for a living and know what it's like to suffer under the jackboot of overreaching government. That's what this show is for. And so we're going to talk a little bit about hyperinflation and what that means. So the way that countries have paid off their debts is they would go and, first of all, to fund their wars, they would go to these banking houses like the Rothschilds or the Ashkenazi banking houses of Ukraine. And they would use these bankers to help fund their wars. And then when the war was over, they had to pay back war debt. And so ultimately, they created things like the Bank of England or the Federal Reserve banking system, which is run by those same people who loan them the money, like the Rothschild family. And they made a deal with them where you can print as much fiat or fake currency as you want, and then you can loan it to your banking partnerships at zero interest, and then they can give it to people like you and I in the form of loans. And then the Federal Reserve banking or central banking system gets to set the interest rates. And that worked out really great for the bankers. And then Bretton Woods and other agreements made it easier for them in order to do this. But in order to pay back that war debt, the bankers made a deal with the governments. Well, what we'll do is we'll just keep printing this fiat currency, which is basically fake money, funny money, and that will cause inflation. Now, the college kids, because they've been taught Keynesian economics and they've gone to these Marxist run public schools by the Rainbow Flag Mafia teachers unions, have been taught that, oh no, it's rich people. They're the ones, they're the bad people. The middle class, basically, they call them rich people, unless you work for the government and then you're a superhero, right? But basically, what that does is when they print that currency, it causes the dollar to deflate, and that causes inflation. Now, we've been brainwashed by the schools and the colleges to believe, oh no, it's because of the consumer price index. No, no. The consumer price index is next in line. First in line is currency debasement. That's the first step. That's what causes the prices to go up, because now you're printing worthless currency. Now, prior to the creation of the Federal Reserve banks and the central banks, the dictionary definition of inflation was really simple: an artificial increase of the currency supply. That's what causes inflation. So, quantitative easing is what they do. They print currency, and that causes an artificial increase of the currency supply, and that causes the dollar to deflate in value. So let's say they have $20 billion in war debt. Well, with currency debasement, now the government only has $10 billion in war debt. So they're able to pay back the war debt. And that's the deal that they reach with the Rothschilds and these bankers, is that the governments could more easily pay back the debt, but now they're paying it back with this fiat currency, these worthless Federal Reserve notes. And a Federal Reserve note is something that we pass on as debt to our children. It's literally a note of debt. So what do we do? Well, right now we're headed towards what's called hyperinflation. And the only way I could make a good comparison is prior to World War II, before Herr Hitler took over, it would take a wheelbarrow full of Reichsmarks, or the German dollars, to buy a loaf of bread. And that's where we're headed. I mean, try going to the store now. The you know, the companies, the food companies, try to make it look like you're getting the same for your money, but they're making the bottles smaller, the containers smaller, the bags smaller, and but keeping the price the same, right? They're getting rid of cashiers and replacing them with self checkout, just like they did with gasoline. When I was growing up, they would pump your gas and clean your windshield at the gas station. They had gas station attendants. So what they're doing is they're getting rid of employees, replacing them with humanoid robots or just you. And then they're blaming the bourgeois and the rich people. And then they're saying, hey, if you vote for my politician like this communist, we'll give you an unearned wage increase. And so what does that do? Well, that causes inflation as well, because it's an unearned wage increase. And so ultimately, the people with the businesses are going, well, we're going to go broke if we have to pay $20 an hour for an entry level burger flipper. So what we'll do is we'll just replace them with one of Elon Musk's robots. So then they can keep charging the same amount for that hamburger, but without having to pay for some employee who's entitled, who thinks that you're exploiting them as a worker, because that's what they've been taught in the school system. So basically, these large corporations have been pushing communism and Marxism on the kids because it makes it easier for them ultimately to get rid of these people and replace them with robots. Because who wants to hire someone who's going to file a work comp claim or sue you for discrimination or whatever, because that's what you've been taught in school to do. So all this stuff is leading towards ultimately the collapse of our currency system. And that's going to lead to hyperinflation. So what do you do? Because you people who have been taught to save, well, you're in a really tough spot. And by the way, hopefully give me some 5x5s that you guys can hear me. I don't see anybody in the chat yet. I know it's only freaking doggone 0600 in Nevada. I'm going to go ahead and just flip the screen real quick, make sure everybody's good to go. All right. So what do you do? And so if you have money in the bank, oh, but I'm insured, FDIC up to $250,000. Well, great. Put in your FDIC claim, and maybe in a year or two, you might get your fiat currency. And by then, that 250 will be worth $50,000 in today's money while you're bankrupt or sleeping on a sidewalk. So how do you deal with this? Well, you've got to start thinking about hard assets. One example would be the stock market. If you're investing in the stock market, at least stocks, they stay up if you invest in the right things, at least they stay up with the rate of inflation. So you're really not, so it really doesn't go up in value, your stock. What happens is the currency becomes weaker and it looks like your stocks went up. But in reality, companies start charging more money when the dollar deflates in order to stay in business. And so your stock value looks like it's going up, but you're still having the same purchasing power. And hey, good seeing you, Mr. DRLU, and all you guys. I'm driving, so I can't really see everybody, but I see a couple people. I see, hey, Dad, what's going on, brother? and in K Cyber 631. I'm almost home, so I just want to just break this down for you really quick. So hard assets, stocks is one example where at least the rate of your gain keeps up with the rate of inflation. And I say gain is a petty thing because you're not really making a gain. All your stocks are really doing is keeping up with the rate of inflation. The other thing you could do is gold and silver or even platinum, precious metals. So the problem with that, and again, they basically a $20 gold piece back prior to 1933, when Roosevelt stole most of our gold. A $20 gold piece could buy you a fine Italian suit, could buy you some nice clothes and a couple of fine meals. A $20 Federal Reserve note today, you'll be lucky if you can get a meal at Jack in the Box. But that same $20 gold piece back from 1932 can still buy you the same thing that it bought back then. So really, what you're doing when you invest in gold or silver, and to a lesser degree the stock market, is simply holding the value of what your hard-earned work gained you. You're not really getting rich, okay? You're holding the value. So the problem is, guys, is when you go to a gold or silver or a local coin store, they want to buy your gold and silver from you at less than the spot price. Good seeing you, East Carbon Exposed. Now, I may get cut off for a second here, so I apologize. But really quickly, so what do? We have to form parallel systems, guys. If we start bartering and if we become friends and you want to sell some of your gold or silver, or you want to buy some bullets, or you want to buy some food, some raw milk, you call me or you call one of your buddies who does that and say, I got some junk silver. I know I can't get more than spot price from the local coin store, but will you trade me for some assets, for my bullion or for my gold or for my whatever I might have that's an asset? And that's what we need to do. So hopefully this week I'm going to show you an example of what brothers and sisters can do by forming parallel systems. And we're going to have one of our friends on who is permanently disabled, and we're going to do a fundraiser for him. And I'm going to show you examples of how outside the government system we can form parallel systems like the Amish. And the best thing that I could tell you parents to do is start homeschooling your kids, get them out of the Marxist run education system, start forming and start teaching your kids the difference between Marxism and a common law republic. I've got sciatica, so just give me a second here. It's going to be hard for me to get out of the car. And we're going to talk about that as the week progresses, about forming parallel systems and about building wealth and stores of value. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Good seeing you, Dad, and good seeing you, East Carbon and Kasybert and Dad E. Hopefully you guys saw the silver and gold market explode when Trump started investigating that scumbag Powell and all those losers over at the Federal Reserve banking system. Hopefully we can abolish the Fed, return America back to a gold-based currency, and give you guys back your financial and economic freedom. Get rid of the income tax, go back to a tariff-based system where your wages are not stolen from you by all these Marxists and these government institutions like the IRS. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper